What's up, everybody? Dave from Fan Futsal here, adjusting the camera so I got it just right, giving you a rapid match recap of the Besiktas versus Porto match that just concluded, ended 1-1 draw. Before the match, I didn't know much about either side. I had known that Besiktas, by reputation, I knew a couple of their players and their stadium. I was under the assumption that it was incredibly energetic and raucous and definitely lived up to the hype there. So I was expecting that. From a formational perspective, Besiktas was coming out with a 4-3-2-1 formation, or sometimes known as a Christmas tree formation. I was concerned about the width. Ultimately, the match, it didn't prove to be an issue, but I know before the match, those were my thoughts. I was very concerned about how they were going to get width in the squad. From a Porto perspective, they were coming out with a 4-4-1-1 or 4-2-3-1 formation. It was confusing how some of the sites listed it. Either way, it's a balanced formation with defensively and all that. The only issue sometimes is forwards can get isolated, and I think you definitely saw that, especially in the second half with Abubakar getting a bit isolated. Also, congrats to Hector Herrera for getting the captain for FC Porto. He's been there definitely less than 2 seasons. I think he may even be less than 1, and so to have it be captain in the Champions League, that's very awesome for him. Match kicked off. Atmosphere was insane, just like I expected. Crowd was jumping, incredibly raucous, so that was awesome to see. Porto was pressing high, especially early on, and especially when Besiktas was trying to play out of the back in the corners. They were doing a good job of that, but throughout the match, Besiktas started to have more possession and Porto wasn't pressing quite as high. Quaresma and Babel definitely played wider than I expected when I first saw the formation, and so there wasn't an issue at all from width for the Besiktas formation. I thought Quaresma definitely played wider than Babel throughout the match. Quaresma, traditional winger, had his feet on the touchline, getting those boots full of chalk. Babel tucked inside a little bit more, but they both maintained a bit of width. Porto, when they were attacking, they didn't have a ton of overlapping or supportive runs when they were attacking in possession, not through counterattacks, but when they were the few instances where they actually were building an attack. I thought they were very, very conservative, very, very organized, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it didn't lead to a ton of chance creation. So I saw that. Pepe was playing very aggressively, specifically stepping up with Abubakar. And when Porto was trying to play out, he was a center back that was kind of going and venturing into the midfield. And the other center back, Tosic, I believe is how you pronounce his name, he was kind of more hanging back in the first half. Besiktas kept trying to hit, specifically in the first half. They tried it a couple times in the second, but for the most part, a ton of long diagonal balls, a lot of times from right to left. So they must have saw something tactically before the match, but it was not working throughout the match, and I'm glad they kind of abandoned that strategy in the second half. But the first half, they just kept trying to knock it and just kept doing it. Babel and Quaresma were constantly switching flanks, switching positions throughout the match, and it was a tactical wrinkle, but I don't think it really led to anything too crazy. It was just sort of a tactical wrinkle that I noticed and wanted to throw out there. Porto's free kick goal. It was a pretty sort of well-designed play, I'll say. Quaresma definitely at fault from Besiktas for not going with the runner that overlapped. Once that guy touched the ball, you saw Quaresma sort of freeze and wasn't sure if he should go to the ball or go with the runner. He had support on his right side who was clearly going to go after the ball, so it was his responsibility to go with the runner. Having said that, it was still a very nice goal from Porto. I can't understate how tough it is a lot of times to hit a ball coming from the right side, to hit that with your right foot, and it was a center back that did it. Incredibly impressive from him. Usually you let that come across your body and hit it with your left foot because it's a lot easier to actually make good contact and from a timing perspective. But for him to hit that with his right foot and finish the way that he did, fantastic goal from him. Then going to the Besiktas goal, Tosun, fantastic center forward play. That's what you want to see from a center forward. Goalkeeper punts the ball. He's got a man on his back. He chests it, maintains possession, gets it out wide, then makes a run in behind. Guy plays it over the top. He's able to sombrero guy at pace and then maintain possession. When he sombreros the defender and is running at full speed with a bouncing ball, I can't tell you how tough it is to actually maintain your pace and also possession of the ball and in control of it. Then on top of it, he's got all that adrenaline from making a fantastic play and beating a defender. For him as a center forward not to, again, rush of adrenaline, hit that shot, but instead play it off to the wide open man was the absolute right play and fantastic center forward play from him and to Tolasica. I don't know how you pronounce it, so apologies there, but he had a wide open finish, but all credit to Tosun on that goal. I thought Brahimi and Abubakar were really good for Porto in the first half. Brahimi throughout the match. Abubakar kind of faded in the second half. Quaresma was definitely the most involved player for Porto, for Besiktas, even though he was at fault for Porto's goal. But I thought he was kind of the best player for Besiktas in the first half. And Tosun, just have to get a shout out because he was fantastic on that goal. Second half, Medel for Tosic. I was a little confused by that. I don't know if there was an injury there or if that was just a tactical thing. I don't think Tosic played too poorly in the first half, but Medel came in and I thought played well. Besiktas definitely had more energy. We're definitely the stronger side throughout the second half. On the 60th minute, little weird tactical thing that happened. Babel and Quaresma, for whatever reason, were both on the left side of the field. That didn't happen too often, but with Quaresma and Babel both on the same side, that led to Quaresma making a nice run, individual effort, and getting a shot off and almost resulted in a goal. So maybe Besiktas should have done that a little bit more. Second half, Porto's definite best chance in the second half because they didn't have too many. Ricardo in the 62nd minute, completely against the run of play. He was wide open and just completely missed the net. I don't know what he was thinking taking that shot with the outside of his right boot. Should have hit it with his left foot and, didn't get the goal. And ultimately, match ended 1-1 because of that. In the second half, Besiktas not hitting the long balls, definitely playing more on the ground and building up and really breaking down Porto, and they were very successful at doing that versus the first half where they were trying to hit more long diagonals. Tosun, whatever happened at halftime, really charged him up, and he was arguing with his own teammates, arguing with the other players. Surprised to not see him get a yellow card, but he was definitely fired up. Nice to see the passion there from him. Besiktas, even though they were dominant in the second half, when they turned the ball over, there was definitely space for Porto to exploit, and they didn't do a good job of actually exploiting it. But there was room there, and Besiktas maybe needed to have a little bit more discipline and tactical sort of awareness there because they were a bit vulnerable, especially when they only needed a draw. So to have them pushing and leaving those gaps was a little bit concerning. I thought Hutchinson played very well for Besiktas, specifically on the defensive side. He was very physical, very disruptive to Porto's attack, and really good in the center of midfield. Besiktas controlled the match in the second half, but really the best scoring chance definitely fell to Porto in the 62nd minute with Ricardo. Maxi towing that line, the outside back for Porto. Surprised to not see him get a second yellow because he had a number of fouls after getting a first half yellow card. Babel and Quaresma, in conclusion, Babel and Quaresma, though they did play a similar position from a formation, lineup perspective, they played it very, very differently, with Quaresma definitely staying more wide, trying to take players more one-on-one, and Babel tucking inside a little bit more and going to goal a little bit more. And also Besiktas. So Besiktas qualified for the knockout rounds for the first time in their club's history. That was a little surprising to me, but congrats to them because they are one of the powerhouses in Turkey. So congrats to them on getting to the Champions League knockout rounds for the very first time. That was my thoughts on the match that just concluded. Besiktas Porto 1-1. Please let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anything that I missed in my analysis? Let us know in the comments section, and I will be back with another rapid match recap video soon. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you guys soon. See you, everyone. Bye.